Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's get stuck into these charts, shall we? We're looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and that's what we're going to look at this morning. We've got a live stream tonight. If you want to join the Patreon live stream, we'll look at whatever altcoin it is that you want to bring to the table. And if you're not part of the Patreon and you've got a chart that you want me to look at, put it in the comments, and if it's worth looking at, if it's something particularly different that is special in some way, I will make a video on it. Otherwise, let's get stuck straight in. So yesterday's video I was saying about how we're looking to continue up and that it could happen any minute now, and the target was going to be this area here, 71,400. We've basically surpassed that, but we're sort of battling with that area right now. So this is the main area of resistance on this current move. This move was given to us on that 12-hourly pump signal. And so that is played now. That is what we see. So the pump signal generated here a few days ago. And now it's pumped, and it pumps to the next major level of resistance, which is where we are right now. So as far as this setup is concerned, the one that we were talking about yesterday is done. Okay, it's done. Doesn't mean that the move is finished completely. It could obviously come on and turn into something else. But as far as the signal that we were referring to yesterday and the continuation of the trend to this resistance, that's done. So that one's finished now. So we do have to be cautious about what happens to any crypto at this point now, because when Bitcoin hits a resistance, if it pulls back, then that's it. Everything's going to pull back with it. We know that. That's the nature of the beast, isn't it? That's the big crypto machine. Everything moves more or less with Bitcoin, and if we get rejected, we're going to come back down again. Taking ourselves over to a daily to see where we would likely come down to. Well, the obvious place would be down to a 10 exponential, back down to where we started from. Not price-wise, but moving average-wise. That's where we lifted from. This is where we could come down to. So that means a pullback all the way down to, we'll call it $67,000. However, you've probably seen it. I've seen it. There's a pump signal on a daily now, isn't there? Okay. So this is something I think that you've got to recognise. So yes, there's a pump signal on a daily. Is it going to pump straight after the last pump signal? Well, I mean, it could. It could, and if it does, it will take us to a new all-time high, upper 70s, maybe even higher than that. But to point that out and say that's definitely going to happen is pretty crazy. It's a bit naive to think that, but it does exist. There is a pump signal on this now, which is good. But do we pull back first before we pump? It's probably most likely, isn't it? It's probably most likely. Let's have a look at the small time frames, see if there's anything going on here. Well, we had bearish divergence on the 15-minute. Consolidation seems okay on the 15-minute, like it wants to continue. I can't believe we're looking at the 15-minute video. The 1 hourly. The 1 hourly has bearish divergence, but even with that bearish divergence, it still looks like it wants to push a little higher, potentially around 73. The 4 hourly obviously is more or less done, but there is no bearish divergence on this one. It just wants to keep going up. So this does point to a further move up, and again, just below $73,000, just below the previous all-time high. It does point to that as well. And obviously the weekly is going to look pretty sweet, to be honest with you. If we do continue up like this and make another weekly candle body higher than the previous, that will actually give us a third drive of bearish divergence on the money flow index, which would be a strange one. It would also give us bearish divergence on the RSI as well on the weekly, which again would be a bit of a worry. Generally would be a bit of a worry. Now, let's not talk about Bitcoin as much as we can talk about Ethereum, up 18%. Now, kept in hindsight, I would ask you to rewind the video, go back to have a look at what I was saying. This is not Ethereum's it's not the Ethereum daily setup. What the hell is going on here? That's the Ethereum daily setup. Right. And I was saying, look, we're pulling down into a golden cross. This is going back, not last week, but the week before, when I said that last week is likely to see some altcoin rallies. Now look, right? So I don't, make calls to be sensational. I do them because this is the charts that I trade myself, and I trade them, right? So I only talk about what it is that I'm going to do or what I think is going to happen based on me trying to make money out of these markets. Otherwise, I'd just be like, these other YouTubers that go, oh my God, you wouldn't believe you're going to be a millionaire. Put 50p into this today, millionaire next year. blah, 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 blah. No, it's all a setup, and we can see the setup materializing here. So I was saying, look, there's likely to be some kind of alts move last week. Yesterday I said, I think, whether you're Bitcoin or altcoin, it looks like it's good. And now look, massive big move on Ethereum, clear breakout at this point, front running that golden cross, which is amazing. So Ethereum's really, really quite good. So you would expect this now to have a pivotal shift on the total 2. And it does. It actually really does. The total 2 being the market cap of everything combined, excluding Bitcoin. We don't have a daily pump signal on this one yet, but this is more or less an Ethereum chart, and this is really quite sweet now. Looking over at the Bitcoin dominance chart, we were thinking about how we could go up or down on this one, but a down would result in a golden cross retest down here, 51.7%, and then a big bounce on that one. Which is why I said, look, yesterday, Bitcoin, altcoins, whatever you want, it should go up. Ethereum obviously being the best. I didn't expect that, to be honest with you, but it happened. But it's still good for everybody, because what's good for Ethereum generally transfers over to altcoins as well. So confidence in altcoins is probably a bit better. And I think there's this whole ETF thing as well, isn't there, with Ethereum? No, the Ethereum ETF. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it does look quite good. I have to say, it does look good. And we're still in a strong trend on the dominance chart here. Could get a support on any one of these, but the fact that we've not broken out and continued up to the next major level of support means that whatever altcoins do now, you have to think in terms of, all right, nip it in the bud, take profit where I can. Unless it's hodl bag, we're looking for supports on the way down, which could be a big bounce, because this is a massive uptrend. Now, we are sort of hanging around this Bollinger Band center, which means that there could be a bounce right now. You've got to keep your eyes on Ethereum and Bitcoin. Other than that, I'll be looking for a move down towards 53.5% dominance on this one, and that would be pretty sweet. That would be good. Now finally, we're just going to have a look at the S&P futures market, more or less unchanged. There's a bit of a flat top going on here, massively overheated money flow index on the daily, but it could obviously go higher. Same thing on the S&P, which is basically the same chart. It actually looks more bullish on this one, so continuation generally for stocks. If we get pullbacks, the 10 exponential being here at 5,250, and a much bigger one down here at 5,170. And finally, and I know people don't like this, but we've got to keep looking at all these markets, otherwise you won't understand. You've got to. This is the environment. You always got to check your trading environment. Can't just trade altcoins blindly. But the trading environment seems reasonable. With further downside on the Dixie, getting a rejection on the 7 simple on the daily. So I'll probably be looking for another retest of this golden cross down here, 104.2, before it decides to either break out or break down. And given the Chinese sale of bonds, I don't think the dollar has the capacity to actually bounce, not on a fundamental level, but if it does, it would bounce from here. So you've got to keep your eyes on the price. If you start closing below 104.2, then yeah, we're coming all the way down, and this could be what gives, I suppose, the markets the blow-off top that would lead into an actual consolidation based on the Dixie, right? Not based on their own charts. Because you look at this and go, oh, we're breaking up, baby. We're breaking out. And it does look reasonable to assume a new local high on Ethereum, and then altcoins probably have a nice little rally. But it will be short-lived, I reckon, because the dominance chart can't... I don't think the dominance chart has the capacity to break down too hard. And, the Dixie is going to come down to a major level of support. So you've got to take it bit by bit, step by step. Obviously, we have hodl bags for the long haul, where we've entered into altcoins at much lower zones, and we leave them to, fulfill their true potential. But from a trader's perspective, I think it's worth recognizing that the trade that we talked about yesterday has come to its close. We believe that it can go higher, but really yesterday when I was talking about the setup, that setup is complete. And so if you haven't sold at the resistance, it's up to you whether you decide to sell at resistance or hope that the resistance breaks. I just want to put this to you, just to remind you again. Yesterday, I told you that there's a good chance that this is going to happen. Today, it's happened. Right this very moment in time, we're at resistance. That is trade setup complete. That is the trade. The trade is done. Now, what you do next is up to you. What I do is take profit. and wait and see if we have continuation across the board for other altcoins, signs and signals of life. One of my favorites is this chart. I was saying this on the Telegram. Just because your chart hasn't moved doesn't mean that it's not a good chart. It is a good chart. This is the SHIB chart. We've got a huge descending triangle that we've broken out from. We had the pump signals on the 4-hourly, which has played. We've now got the pump signal on the 12-hourly, which we're waiting for the first major resistance level up here at to 800 Shiba Inus or whatever. Inus, I don't know what you call them. So that is the first next major level of resistance. But outside of that, this is a really good chart. So just because it hasn't moved doesn't mean that it's not a good setup, right? This is a good setup. This is a good chart. Just because it hasn't moved doesn't mean that you can't take away from the fact that there's a good setup here. Sometimes you've got to trade with your blinkers on, really. What do they say? Envy is the thief of joy. So don't look around and see that, some other coins have gone, well, like Ethereum, for instance, 18% compared to SHIB's like minuscule 6. Hang on a minute. What's wrong with 6? What's wrong with 6? Nothing's wrong with 6, is it? It's just it's not 18. And you look at other things around you and go, oh, you should have Ethereum anyway, to be honest with you. I mean, everyone should have Ethereum and Bitcoin just as a standard. But, try to think about it like this. Is this a good chart? Yes. Is it a good setup? Yes. Has it broken out of a massive descending triangle? Yes. Has it got pump signals on it? Yes. It's got everything you really want going on it. It just hasn't moved compared to the others. Does that mean it's going to move? Definitely? No, never. But does it mean that the setup is still valid? Yes, it does mean that. It does mean that. But recognizing that the resistance on Bitcoin here, and obviously Ethereum has more or less done 20% in a day, it makes you think that a pullback would impact this one. And if you're looking to buy SHIB, which again is completely your call, Bollinger Band seems like a reasonable place. Which is 2,400 ENUs. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about this. We can talk about as many altcoins as you want tonight if you join the Patreon in the link in the description below. Other than that, I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.